All right, so this is your mini quiz one that deals with the molar ratio conversions and some molar ratio and then a few word problems down here. So here we go. The first one is, this is our balanced equation right here. So before we kind of start with a lot of these, you need to make sure that you have a balanced equation. And we do here, it's given to us, so that's a good thing. If not, we would have to go through and balance this correctly before we can really do any of these problems. And it's going to be the same for this one right here as well. Okay, so when I look here, what follow each equation are two requests for molar ratios from the equation. So for each one of these, I need to give a molar ratio. And here it tells me from nitrogen into hydrogen. So nitrogen, there is that implied 1 right there. So we have 1 in a ratio to hydrogen. When I go over here to my balanced equation, hydrogen has a 3 in front of it. So that means I'm going to put a 3 right there. So the ratio from nitrogen to hydrogen is 1 to 3. Okay, when I go to this one, NH3 to H2. Now look at NH3 first, and there's a 2 there. Ratio to hydrogen, once again, has that 3. There we go. So we need to put them in order of how they're listed here in the question. All right, that's how you do the first couple. The next couple, we have word problems here. We need to use this balanced equation to answer a few questions down here. So the first one is how many moles of H2 are produced when 5 moles of oxygen are used. So a couple test taking strategies. Number one, go ahead and get your answer box ready. And in that answer box, you should be able to tell me right away how many moles of O2, H2O, of water. So that means my answer should be in moles of H2O. And then also how many sig figs would be in my answer. So in this case, because this is my given, 5 is my given number, I should only have 1 sig fig in my answer. Okay, so now I can go down and do the math for this problem. I start with 5 moles of oxygen, which is O2, and I need to get into moles of H2O. Well, because of my molar ratio, kind of what we did up here, it's a little bit, it's different numbers down here because it's a different equation, but the molar ratio of H2O and oxygen, okay, is oxygen is first, 1, 2, H2O to 2. Oxygen is 1 to 2. Okay, now this is not needed for your answer, but it's nice to know because when I come over here, if I have O2 here, moles of O2 here, because I need that to cross out, well, moles of O2 is right there, and I can get into moles of H2O. There's 2 of them, goes there. All right, so I know I need to get into moles of H2O, and I'm in moles of H2O, so there is my math. And then when I do this in the calculator, just 5 times 2 is 10. Well, when I go over here, moles of H2O, there's my units. 10 is my answer. I have 1 digit as a significant digit. That 0 is not significant, so 10 moles of H2O is my answer. Okay? I had a lot of people put this into scientific notation of 1.0 times 10 to the first. This is not correct because you have 2 sig figs here, so that is not correct. Okay, down here for number 2. All right, once again, give me your answer box right away. You start with 3.00 moles of H2O. How many moles of oxygen must be consumed? So you need to get into moles of oxygen, which is O2, so that should be your answer. Moles of O2. Okay, so from here I know that 3.00 I should have 1, 2, 3 sig figs, and if I start with my given moles of H2O, well, to get out of moles of H2O and into moles of O2, I look at my balanced equation and I know that 2 moles of H2O is in a relationship equal to 1 mole of O2. This is your molar ratio step. So my moles of O2 cancel out, mole of O2 cancel out. I'm left with moles of O2. That's what I need to get into, so I'm done converting. So what I need to do is 3.00 divided by 2. I should have 3 sig figs. And when I do that, I get 1.5. Now, when I go over here to my sig figs, I get 1.5. I notice I'm missing one of those sig figs, so if I just put in a trailing 0, value doesn't change, but now I have my correct amount of sig figs, 1.50 moles of O2. Okay, down here at the bottom, same equation. Suppose we start with 4.00 grams of H2. All right, so if we start with our answer box, I know that I'm going to have 3 sig figs, and how many grams of water would be produced. So grams per mole of H2O should be my units. So I start in grams, so that means I need to get out of grams of H2, and that will give me 1 mole of H2. How do I do that? This is your molar mass step. So in H2, I should have 2.016. That's my molar mass of H2. That'll give me to 1 mole of H2. Then moles of H2 is in a molar ratio with moles of water. When I look up here, H2 is 2, water is 2. So that gives me grams, that cancels out, moles of H2 cancel out. Now I'm in moles of H2, and I need to get into, let's see here, grams of H2O. Right, so I'm currently in moles of H2, I need to get to grams of H2O. So one more step to cross out moles of H2O. I know that in every 1 mole of H2O, there is the molar mass of H2O, which is 18.015. And this is grams of H2O, which is what I need to be in for my answer. And when I do the math here, it comes out to be 37.723 something here. But I need 3 sig figs. So it should be 37 point, let me do this in the calculator quickly. 4 times 3. Sorry, it should be 35.7 because it's no longer 35. This should be 35.744. And then because there are 3 sig figs, this 4 does not round that 7 up. So it should be 35.7 grams per mole of water.